Welcome everyone, and thank you for joining us today on this deep dive into one of the most fascinating topics in the world of coin collecting: rare errors and hidden treasures that can turn what seems like a small piece of pocket change into an item worth millions. And in this case, we are going to unravel the captivating story of the 1977 1-cent coin. A penny that has stunned collectors and investors alike, with tales of it being valued at an astounding $19 million because of its errors and mistakes. And as we go through this journey, we'll explore the reasons behind this staggering valuation, the unique circumstances that make such coins so desirable, the kinds of minting errors that occurred in 1977, and the possibilities and collector interest that has made this ordinary-looking piece of copper-plated history into a legendary item in the numismatic community. So let's begin with a little context, because when most people think about pennies from the late 1970s, they assume they are common, plentiful, and basically worthless beyond face value. After all, millions upon millions were minted, they circulated heavily, and the copper composition meant that they felt and looked like countless other pennies. But as with many things in the world of collecting, the details matter, and it is those details, slight shifts in the minting process, imperfections on the dies, planchette mistakes, and striking anomalies, that can transform a penny into a fortune. And in 1977, the U.S. Mint, like any large institution responsible for mass production, encountered a variety of such quirks, some minor and some extraordinary, and it is the extraordinary examples that fuel stories of value in the millions. So what exactly makes a 1977 1-cent coin worth $19 million? The answer lies in errors, rarity, condition, and the allure of owning a piece of history that almost no one else can claim to have. And one of the most significant errors found in some 1977 pennies involves double die obverses, where the design on the front of the coin, particularly Abraham Lincoln's profile, his eye, his lips, or the lettering of Liberty and I in God We Trust, appear doubled. And while minor doubling exists in many years and often commands modest premiums, strong and dramatic doubling that is crisp and visible without magnification can elevate the coin into a whole new category of desirability. Now imagine a coin from 1977 that not only has such doubling but also retains nearly flawless condition, with gleaming surfaces preserved as though it just left the mint yesterday. This combination can make collectors bid astronomical amounts because such coins are practically unique, and uniqueness is what drives rarity value in the coin world. Another type of error that contributes to the immense valuation of certain 1977 pennies is the off-center strike, where the design is not centered on the coin blank but instead shifted noticeably, sometimes so much that part of the design is missing entirely while a blank crescent of metal remains visible. These dramatic off-center strikes are visually striking and highly collectible, and the further the design is off from the center without losing critical features like the date, the higher the value tends to climb. And when we think of an off-center penny dated 1977 that still shows the full year and Lincoln's portrait in an unusual alignment, it suddenly becomes an object of fascination, a mint-made accident turned piece of art. Then there are broad strike errors, where the retaining collar that normally holds the coin blank in place during striking malfunctions, allowing the metal to spread out wider than normal, creating a penny that appears larger than standard size with flat, stretched rims. These broad strikes from 1977 stand out immediately to the trained eye, and in high grade can also fetch extraordinary prices, particularly when collectors are competing fiercely to own the finest known examples. Yet perhaps the most mind-boggling error possibilities for the 1977 penny involve wrong planchette strikes, where instead of being struck on the copper planchette intended for a cent, the dies strike on a planchette meant for another denomination, such as a dime, a foreign coin, or a transitional composition. Imagine the rarity of finding a 1977 penny struck on a dime planchette, making it thinner and smaller, or on a bronze planchette of slightly different weight. And these kinds of errors are so rare that they almost never surface. But when they do, the coin becomes instantly legendary and can push values into the multi-million-dollar range. So when we hear of a 1977 penny valued at $19 million, we are not talking about just any penny pulled from circulation, but rather a perfect storm of error, rarity, condition, and market demand. A coin that may feature multiple mistakes combined in one, like doubling, off-center strike, and wrong planchette together, creating an utterly unique piece unlike any other known to exist. And collectors driven by passion and competition can drive bidding wars sky high, especially when wealthy individuals or institutions want to add such a rarity to their collection. But the story does not end with errors alone, because condition plays a critical role. A coin with the right error but heavy wear may be interesting but will not command life-changing sums, while a coin preserved in mint state condition with bright luster and minimal marks becomes exponentially more desirable. Grading services like PCGS and NGC authenticate and encapsulate such rarities, assigning grades that range from circulated to gem mint state, and the higher the grade, the rarer and more valuable the coin becomes. So picture a 1977 penny with a dramatic double die obverse, struck off center, on the wrong planchette, preserved in MS67 red condition. Authenticated and certified as one of a kind, such a coin could realistically be valued at levels people once thought unimaginable, and this is where the figure of $19 million comes into play. Now some might ask, why would anyone pay such a price for a coin that technically has a face value of 1 cent? And the answer lies in the psychology of collecting. For some it is about completing a set or owning the ultimate rarity, for others it is about investment. Knowing that unique items can only appreciate in value because demand will always outweigh supply, and for many it is about prestige, the ability to claim ownership of a piece of American minting history that no one else has, much like owning a rare painting, a famous diamond, or a historic manuscript, and the 1977 penny with its legendary errors fits into that category perfectly. Furthermore, the market for error coins has grown dramatically in recent decades, with collectors using online platforms, auction houses, and numismatic shows to compete for the finest known pieces, and the publicity surrounding record-breaking sales only fuels further interest, creating a cycle where demand continues to climb, and stories of $19 million pennies inspire treasure hunters everywhere to check their change, to go through jars of old coins, to search through inherited collections, hoping to stumble upon the next hidden gem. And while the odds of finding such a piece are astronomically low, the possibility alone is enough to keep the excitement alive, fueling countless hours of searching and studying, because at the heart of numismatics is curiosity and the thrill of discovery. Now, when we consider 1977 specifically, it was an interesting year in coinage history. The mint was still producing pennies in copper, unlike the zinc composition adopted in 1982, and this means that the coins from this period have a distinctive weight and feel. They are often more appealing to collectors who prefer the older metal content, and copper itself has intrinsic value that adds to the allure. Furthermore, the quality control systems of the 1970s, while advanced for their time, still allowed for more errors to slip through compared to today's highly automated and tightly monitored production processes, making error coins from that era more varied and fascinating. So the 1977 penny lives in that sweet spot of being old enough to have developed scarcity in certain varieties, but modern enough to still be found occasionally in circulation or collections, thus fueling hope that one might still come across an extraordinary error by chance. Now let us expand on the specific types of mistakes that might have occurred in 1977 to make one of these pennies so valuable. Starting with double dies, these occur when the die that strikes the coin is impressed more than once with slight misalignments, causing doubling on the design. And in some cases this doubling can be so dramatic that it appears like two separate outlines of Lincoln's profile or letters. Such dramatic doubling can turn a penny from pocket change into a rarity worth thousands, and in extreme cases, combined with other factors, millions. Then we consider repunched mint marks, where the small letter indicating the mint location, such as D for Denver, was punched into the die more than once, sometimes at slightly different angles, creating a visible overlapping effect. These repunched mint marks or RPMs are highly collectible, and a bold example on a 1977 penny can be extremely desirable, especially if combined with other errors. Then we have die cracks, die breaks, and cuds, where the die itself becomes damaged during use, causing raised lines or blobs of metal on the coin. Collectors find these fascinating because they are essentially scars of the minting process, evidence of the stress and where the dies endured, and large or dramatic die breaks can become famous varieties in their own right, pushing values higher. Next, we dive deep into one of the most fascinating and surprising stories in the world of coin collecting, a story that revolves around a small copper-coated zinc piece that most of us have handled countless times without ever thinking about it. Yet this very coin has the power to be worth millions because of the tiny mistakes and errors hidden within it, and today we are focusing on the 2005 D Lincoln 1-cent coin. A coin that at first glance seems completely ordinary but in certain circumstances has been valued at an astonishing $7 million because of the unique errors and minting mishaps that make it so desirable to collectors, historians, and investors alike. So let us explore why a coin struck in the Denver Mint in 2005, carrying the iconic image of Abraham Lincoln on its obverse and the enduring design of the Lincoln Memorial on its reverse, can transform from being a simple 1-cent piece into a life-changing discovery for the lucky individuals who happen to stumble across one. And to understand this transformation, we must look carefully into the kinds of errors and mistakes that occurred during the minting process, because these errors are the true reason behind such astronomical value, whether we are talking about doubled dies where details like Lincoln's eye or the lettering in God We Trust appear doubled because of a slight misalignment in the die engraving process, or off-center strikes where the design is not properly aligned with the planchette, resulting in part of the coin's surface being blank while the rest carries a distorted impression, or clipped planches where a crescent-shaped piece of the coin is missing because the metal sheet was not fed into the stamping press correctly, or even dramatic broad strikes where the coin was struck outside of its retaining collar causing the design to spread wider and distort its proportions. Each of these types of errors can make a common coin suddenly stand apart, and when such errors occur in very limited numbers, collectors are willing to pay extraordinary sums to add them to their collections, and when we consider the 2005's D penny, we discover that certain examples have displayed a combination of errors such as double dies combined with misaligned strikes or unusual planchette defects that elevate their rarity to levels almost unheard of, which in turn fuels the belief and rumors that some of these coins have reached valuations in the multi-million-dollar range, with one particular specimen whispered to have sold in private auctions for as much as $7 million, a figure that astonishes not only casual observers but even seasoned numismatists who spend their lives studying coins. Yet such stories are not impossible to believe when we recognize how rare coin errors have historically commanded high prices, like the famous 1955 double die cent, which regularly sells for thousands of dollars even in circulated condition, or the 1943 copper penny mistake, which can bring in over $1 million because the mint accidentally struck copper planches in a year they were supposed to be steel. And these precedents show us that when an error coin is extremely rare and recognized by major grading services, its value can indeed skyrocket into territories that most people would never imagine possible for a small coin meant to be worth only 1 cent. And so with the 2005 D penny we enter into a fascinating discussion of possibilities, because the Denver Mint in that year struck billions of pennies, and with such massive production comes the inevitability of mistakes, yet only a handful escape detection and enter circulation, making them like hidden treasures scattered among everyday change. And imagine the thrill of an unsuspecting individual going through a jar of pennies and noticing that something about one coin looks odd. Maybe the letters seem doubled, maybe Lincoln's bust looks off, maybe the coin feels slightly misshaped or has a clip, and upon closer inspection and perhaps consultation with an expert, the realization dawns that this is no ordinary cent but a potential $1 million piece. That moment is life-changing, and this is why coin collectors obsessively study the tiniest details of coins, memorizing die varieties, mint marks, and strike characteristics in the hope of discovering such a treasure. And with the 2005's D penny, the errors that are most often associated with this windfall value include dramatic double dies on the obverse where Lincoln's features and inscriptions appear doubled in a way visible even to the naked eye, striking errors where part of the design is missing or distorted because the coin was struck off-center, broad strikes which give the coin an unusual size and look, die cracks that leave raised lines across the surface, and even mule errors where the obverse of one design is accidentally paired with the reverse of another, though such cases are exceedingly rare. And when all these possibilities are combined with the already limited survival rate of error coins, we start to understand why the few 2005's D error cents that exist are considered priceless by those who collect them, and the story of their $7 million valuation becomes less unbelievable and more of a reflection of the passion and competition within the numismatic community, because collectors with great wealth are often willing to bid astronomical amounts to secure ownership of a piece of history that no one else can claim. And beyond the financial value, these coins tell us a story of human error, industrial process, and the intersection of art and technology, because coin minting is a highly technical process requiring precision, and when that precision falters even slightly, it leaves behind a permanent record in the form of a flawed coin that becomes an object of beauty and fascination. And in the case of the 2005 D penny, these flaws are what make the coin so valuable, but it also raises possibilities for all of us, because it means that treasures could be hiding in plain sight in our pockets, in old jars of change, or in dusty drawers, and that awareness has inspired countless people to start looking more carefully at the coins they encounter, fueling the ongoing excitement in the hobby of numismatics. And the possibility of finding a $7 million penny from 2005 keeps the dream alive for collectors and treasure hunters alike. And when we reflect on this, we see that the real value of these coins is not only monetary but also emotional and historical, They connect us to the legacy of Abraham Lincoln, to the story of the United States Mint, and to the endless pursuit of perfection in human craftsmanship, where ironically the most valuable results come from imperfections. So as we conclude our deep dive into the 2005 penny worth $7 million because of its errors and mistakes, we are left with a sense of wonder at how something so small and overlooked can hold such immense worth, and with a renewed excitement to check every coin that passes through our hands, because who knows, the next great discovery may be waiting right there. And if you've enjoyed this journey into the world of rare coins and hidden treasures, don't forget to stay connected, because together we'll keep uncovering more amazing stories about coins that change lives and reveal the incredible history etched into everyday money. So thank you for being here, and we look forward to exploring even more incredible discoveries with you next time. And remember to like, share, and subscribe so you never miss these fascinating stories that prove even a single penny can be priceless. Today we're talking about the remarkable 2013 1-cent coin that has stunned collectors and enthusiasts by commanding values up to $2 million because of its unique blend of errors, mistakes, rarity, and the intrigue that surrounds the way coins can slip through the cracks of the United States Mint and make their way into circulation carrying details that were never supposed to be released. And what makes this story so captivating is not just the incredible financial worth attached to a coin with a face value of just 1 cent, but also the incredible depth of history, craftsmanship, and human error that comes together to create something that transforms ordinary copper-plated zinc into a highly desirable rarity. So let's start by understanding why the 2013 1-cent coin has such a legendary status among error coin hunters and why collectors will go to great lengths to acquire these elusive treasures. Because while millions upon millions of pennies are struck every year, only a handful escape with mistakes that elevate them far beyond ordinary value, and in the case of the 2013 penny, several types of errors have been documented that push its value into the realm of fantasy for everyday people and into a goldmine for dedicated numismatists. And one of the first things to consider is that by 2013 the US Mint was producing the Lincoln cent in its copper-plated zinc form, a composition introduced in 1982 that carried forward with a core of zinc and a thin outer layer of copper, and this structure itself can give rise to fascinating mistakes, including plating bubbles, incomplete copper layers, and sometimes off-center exposures where the zinc peeks through, which over time oxidize into dramatic appearances. But what drives the extreme valuations are not just common plating issues but striking mistakes, die errors, misalignments, and double dies that occur when the coin is being pressed under high pressure in minting machines, and reports suggest that some 2013 pennies left the mint with spectacular blunders like dramatic off-center strikes where Lincoln's portrait or the shield design on the reverse is shifted so far that parts of the coin remain blank, or coins that display doubled features, particularly in the motto "In God We Trust," the word liberty, or the date itself, where you can see clear doubling with the naked eye that leaves no doubt that something extraordinary happened during minting. And in the world of coin collecting, dramatic and clear doubling is highly prized because it's not only easy to identify but it provides a visible story of the error without requiring magnification. And while minor doubling may be common, bold and unmistakable double dies are exceptionally valuable, especially on a modern penny like the 2013, which should, under normal circumstances, have been produced with highly precise quality control. And yet even with modern technology, the mint is not immune to errors, because the volume of coins struck every year is so enormous that mistakes, while rare, are statistically inevitable, and sometimes those mistakes are subtle while other times they create once-in-a-lifetime rarities. And with the 2013 penny, there are even examples reported with misstruck reverse shields where the details appear blurred or partially missing, as if the die was overused or improperly prepared, leading to weak strikes or partial designs, which again elevate the intrigue of these coins, and collectors value not just the error itself but the story it tells about minting processes and the failures that allow us a glimpse behind the curtain of a massive government operation tasked with producing billions of coins. And to truly understand why one particular 2013 penny could be worth as much as $2 million, we must look at the psychology of collectors, the dynamics of rarity, and the passion for possessing something unique. Because coin collecting has always been about more than just money, it is about history, art, and the thrill of having in your hands an object that is both ordinary and extraordinary at the same time. And the 2013 penny encapsulates that perfectly, being both a coin that millions of Americans handle daily in pocket change and yet in its error-ridden forms, a once-in-a-lifetime discovery that could turn a casual coin roll searcher into a millionaire overnight. And that possibility has driven enormous interest in pennies from this era, with stories circulating about collectors finding dramatic off-center strikes or double dies in coin rolls from banks, flea markets, or even change jars in their own homes, leading many to begin inspecting every penny they come across, because the difference between a 1-cent coin and a $2 million rarity lies in details so small that only the trained or curious eye will notice. And when you think about the different kinds of errors possible, the excitement grows, because beyond off-center strikes and doubling, there are clipped planches where a portion of the coin's blank is cut away, leaving a crescent-shaped missing piece, broad strikes where the coin is struck without the collar that normally gives it its rim so it spreads out in odd shapes, die cracks that appear as raised lines across the coin's surface from damaged dies, or even transitional errors where a coin is accidentally struck on the wrong planchet from another denomination. And in the case of 2013 pennies, there have even been rumors of coins struck on planches intended for dimes or foreign coinage, instantly creating a one-of-a-kind piece that collectors would battle fiercely over at auction. And these mistakes are the kind of dream scenarios that push values into millions, because collectors know that uniqueness drives demand. And while not every 2013 penny error is worth a fortune, the most dramatic ones, authenticated by grading services like PCGS or NGC, can command astronomical figures, and the story grows larger when you consider how auction houses market these rarities, spinning the tale of a humble penny elevated to a multi-million-dollar prize, creating bidding wars among elite collectors and investors who see rare coins as both passion pieces and tangible assets. And the coin market has shown time and again that when a unique or nearly unique piece comes to auction, especially in pristine uncirculated condition with dramatic errors, the price can reach heights no one ever expected. And this is exactly what happened with the most legendary 2013 1-cent error, which shocked the collecting world when it sold for around $2 million, instantly making it one of the most valuable modern error coins ever known. And the allure doesn't stop there, because the existence of such a coin keeps collectors searching, keeps stories alive, and keeps hope burning that another might be discovered sitting unnoticed in circulation or tucked away in a forgotten jar. And that excitement fuels the entire hobby, inspiring new collectors to learn about minting processes, about how dies are made, how planches are fed into presses, how high-speed machinery can misfeed or double strike a coin, and how even with advanced quality control, a mistake can slip through and end up changing someone's life. And when you zoom out and think about the bigger picture, the 2013 penny represents not just a coin but a symbol of opportunity, proof that in a world where billions of pennies exist, uniqueness still thrives. And even the smallest error can elevate something ordinary into the realm of legend. And if you think about the possibilities, you realize that for every major error discovered, there are likely others still waiting to be found, because collectors know the mint cannot catch everything. And the 2013 series has become a hunting ground for those hoping to replicate the success story of the $2 million penny. And stories like these keep the market vibrant, keep collectors engaged, and keep the dream alive that any one of us could stumble across life-changing money hidden in plain sight in the form of a coin worth less than a gumball. So the 2013 penny's journey from mint blunder to million-dollar marvel is more than just a story about money. It's a story about passion, chance, history, and the endless human fascination with rarity. And that is why this little coin holds such big value, why its mistakes and errors matter, and why collectors everywhere continue to search, because the thrill of discovery is priceless and the potential reward is beyond imagination. And that's why we share these stories, to remind everyone to keep their eyes open, to check their change, and to never underestimate the value of a simple penny, because one day you might just hold a fortune in your hand. And if you've enjoyed this incredible story of the 2013 1-cent coin worth $2 million, make sure to stay with us for more amazing coin tales. Like, subscribe, and keep watching as we uncover more secrets from the fascinating world of rare and valuable coins.